Good morning, everybody. My name is Brian D'Amico. I'm the manager of internal training at VectorVest. I've been working for VectorVest for coming up on 10 years, like Steve had mentioned. And I can honestly say that VectorVest has helped me make money. And if you're not already making money, I'm fairly certain that it can help you make money as well. So hopefully we'll see throughout the next 2 days how you're going to be able to do that. Dr. DeLito gave us a comprehensive look at what VectorVest is all about. The next logical step is to see, how do I get started with this thing? Now, what are the first things that I need to do to start making money with VectorVest, right? So let's go to the next slide, and you'll see our goal is to make VectorVest 7 the most intuitive and self-supporting stock analysis software you have ever used. In this regard, we have included a complete set of training videos with the product. We wanted to make sure that we had the resources built right into the program so that you could get the answers that you needed when you needed them. In addition, Dr. DeLito has always stressed to us, for the 10 years I've been here, he has always stressed to us the importance of making sure that we were available if you and when you decided to call us. Therefore, you'll notice now we're open 24 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and we're also open 9 to 5 Eastern Time on Saturday, because we wanted to be there for you to help you be successful. Let's get into VectorVest 7, and let's take a look at those videos that we talked about on that slide. Now, for those of you who have been using VectorVest, when you open up VectorVest 7, this is probably what it looks like now. The first thing we want everybody to do is to watch our quick start videos. And to access them, in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see it says VectorVest Quick Start Videos. Go ahead and click on that for me. Now, for those of you who are new to VectorVest, this is what your screen will look like when you first open it up, because we want you to watch the quick start videos first. There's 5 quick start videos. Each one is about 10 to 15 minutes long. And by watching each one, it'll guide you through the steps to becoming successful. And you can see, you can track your progress by, it'll put a check next to it when you're done watching it. Now, first off, before you even get to these 5 videos, go ahead and click this back arrow for me. There's about a 3-minute video that Dr. DeLito put together introducing everybody to the VectorVest system. Watch that one first, all right? And then when you're ready, click Start Learning, and then you can get right to the 5 quick start videos. All right, let's go ahead and close that. Now, even though I'm in the program, I will be following along with the slides that you have in your book. So if you want to take notes, you can continue to take notes in your books. The first slide that you have in your book states that the VectorVest homepage is designed to read like the front page of a newspaper, where the headline story is always market timing. We've been doing this a long time, and we learned a long time ago that there's one thing that you simply must know in order to be successful in the stock market. And that one thing is market direction. The next slide in your books actually states that direction is the key to making money in any market. It is the absolute key. In fact, you can actually get everything else wrong, but if you get market direction right, you could still be making money. How many of you have seen some pretty bad stocks go up in price when the market's going up? Okay, good. How many of you have maybe owned some good stocks and watched them go down when the market went down? All right, I'm seeing a bunch of nods. That's why market direction is the most important thing you need to know. And that's why we put that market information, that market timing information, right at the top of our homepage every single day. And we start off with the market timing gauge. You notice it's got 3 colors in there, green, yellow, red. Right? Green lets you know that the market is bullish. Yellow lets you know it's more transitional. Red lets you know it's bearish. Keep in mind that this color guard and market timing gauge system will let you know 2 things. It will let you know whether it's okay to buy stocks or whether it's not okay to buy. It doesn't let you know when to sell, but don't worry, we're going to cover that throughout the seminar. Keep in mind, it will let you know whether it's okay to be buying or just not buying. We use a traffic light analogy. Let's say you're driving down the road, you come to an intersection, you look up and the light's green. What do you do? What do you do? You go, right? You're probably pretty confident that you can make it through that intersection safely, right? Probably fiddle with the radio, you're that confident. This time you're going through the intersection, you look up, it's yellow. At this point, what are you doing? You're judging your distance, right? Is there a cop around? Could I make it through? If I'm too far away, I'm going to slow down and prepare to stop. If I'm close enough, I can make it through. But either way, you're going to be cautious about going through that intersection, right? All right, this time you come to the intersection and the light's red. What do? We stop, right? All right, do we put it in reverse and turn around and drive home? No, we sit there and we wait for it to turn green, right? The same is true when we're investing with the stock market. When it's green, it's safe to buy with little worries. When it's yellow, you may or may not buy, but you're going to be cautious. And when it's red, you're simply not going to buy. You're going to wait for it to turn green again. Sound simple enough? All right. The market timing gauge is a composite indicator of the top row of lights of our color guard. The color guard analyzes the trends of 3 of the components of our market timing system. Those components are detailed over on the left-hand side in VectorVest at a glance. Here you can see we're tracking over 8,200 stocks right now. The first indicator we'll look at is the VVC price, which stands for the VectorVest Composite Price. It's an arithmetic average index of all the stocks that we're tracking. We feel that's an excellent representation of the overall market. So that's giving us an indication of the short-term direction of the market, because we're watching that day over day and week over week. The indicator right below it is the VVC RT, which stands for the relative timing of that VectorVest composite. Dr. DeLito stated that the RT, or relative timing, is the short-term price trend. So here we're looking at the short-term price trend of the overall market. It's on a 0 to 2 scale, so when it's above 1, the short-term price trend is up, and below 1, the short-term price trend of the market is down. Currently, we're at 1.03, so we're in a slight uptrend in the market. The next indicator is the BSR, which stands for the buy-to-sell ratio. Each and every day, we give stocks either a buy, sell, or a hold recommendation. When there are more buys in the system than sells, the BSR will be above 1, and that indicates overall market strength. There's more strength to that market. When there are more sells than buys, that buy-to-sell ratio will be below 1, which indicates overall market weakness. The last indicator on here is the MTI, which stands for the Market Timing Indicator. The Market Timing Indicator combines the trends of the VectorVest Composite Price, the relative timing, and the buy-to-sell ratio into one master indicator. That's looking at the underlying trend of the market, or the long-term trend of the market. It's also on a 0 to 2 scale, so when that is above 1 as it is now, the underlying or long-term trend of the market is up. All right? Now, knowing those data points is important. However, even more important is to know what their trends are. And that's where we move over to the color guard gadget. That color guard will analyze the trends of those indicators. We're looking at the movement of those indicators day over day and week over week. Generally speaking, if an indicator is up day over day and week over week, you're generally going to see green lights. And generally, if it's down day over day and week over week, you're going to start to see the red lights appear. So if you see a lot of green, the market's bullish, right? It's usually a good time to be buying. If you see a lot of red in here, the market's bearish, not a good time to be buying. Moving over here, we already talked about the MTI. The next column is the trend. That's where we're looking at the primary trend and the long-term trend, or the underlying trend. The first part of it is looking at the primary trend, which we also call the primary wave. In order to get this signal, we're going to look at the price of the VectorVest composite compared to where it was 5 trading days earlier. And if the VectorVest composite is higher than it was 5 trading days ago, we're going to see an up in the short-term trend. The long-term trend is generated off the MTI. Anytime the MTI is above 1, the underlying or the long-term trend of the market will be up, as we are here. The last column you see here is our confirmed call. That's looking at a more conservative or longer-term signal of market direction. When you see a confirmed call change from a confirmed up to a confirmed down or vice versa, never ignore that. If you've been watching this, you saw recently that it did go from a confirmed down to a confirmed up. And when those things happen, you definitely need to pay attention. You never need to worry about interpreting this all on your own, though, because we do it for you. And there's 2 main spots that we interpret it for you. First off, every single day, throughout the day now, in the market timing gauge, you see we have text right up at the top. For example, right now it says the color guard is somewhat bullish, and VectorVest advocates buying safe, undervalued stocks that are rising in price at this time. So we're doing the analysis for you right there. The second place, if you wanted even more detail and more information, if you go down a couple of spots to the strategy gadget, you see there is a little image in there that said the daily color guard report. How many of you watch that daily color guard report? That's great. The other half of you, start watching that daily color guard report. Every single night, one of the instructors at VectorVest is going to put together a very short video where he or she will go through all of the market timing information and present it to you in a video. And they'll end with giving you the analysis or our advice for both prudent and aggressive investors. So that's great if you just want to sit down and listen to us, and you could drink your coffee and get the information. After you watch the video, let's go ahead and click in there to watch the video. It'll pop up the video, and when you're done, you can just close the box. And you'll notice the text appears in the box. This is a written summary of what was discussed in the video. At the top, we have insight into what was going on in the market that day and things that were affecting the market. But then you see down here, we've got advice for both prudent and aggressive investors. In addition to that, you've been hearing us give daily information on what the top performing strategies are. I'm not going to go into much more detail right now because Steve's going to talk more about how to use strategies later on. But we give you that information right here on the home page. Let's keep it simple. Simple way to use VectorVest. If you see a green light right here in the price column on the most recent day, it's a pretty safe bet to be buying stocks. Actually, at the end of today, we're going to have a whole presentation on being a green light buyer. But let's just keep it simple for now. And if you open VectorVest and you see a green light there, pretty good sign that it's okay to be buying stocks. Sound good? All right. Now, while we feel that the home page and the default layout of the home page gives you all the market timing information that you need on a daily basis, we also want to make sure that it was fully customizable for you. So any of the gadgets that you see on this home page, you're able to move around to wherever you want on the home page, set it up the way you like it. You're also able to add new gadgets to this home page. So let's say you're more of a visual learner and you like things visually, and you don't want to see the VectorVest composite price as just a number during the day. Well, you can put it up here as a graph. To do that, you just hit the little configure wrench up on the tab for home, and it drops down a list of all the available gadgets that you can add. If I scroll over to the right, one of the gadgets is a mini graph. You click on mini graph, you'll notice that it loads a graph in the upper left-hand corner, and by default, it's a graph of the VectorVest composite, which of course you can change to whatever you want. But you can see now after the market's been open, you can see what the VectorVest composite is doing throughout the day. All right, so this home page is fully customizable. But for now, let's go ahead and just close that, and we're back to the default page. All right, so now that we've assessed what's going on in the market, one of the first things you're going to want to do with VectorVest is see what we think about your stocks, right? It's great that we're talking about all these other stocks. You want to see what we think about your stocks, right? Well, the best place to do that is in what's called the stock viewer. To access the stock viewer, you click Viewers at the top, and then over on the left-hand side, click on Stock Viewer. And you'll see in your books, the next slide states that Stock Viewer is your entrance into VectorVest. It's an enormous spreadsheet of all VectorVest indicators and parameters. And what we're looking at here is just one corner of that big spreadsheet. You notice how the stocks are ticking away right now? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn off the real-time ticking so it doesn't become a distraction. And so you can actually see the numbers a little bit better, and we can do that just by hitting Stream. All right, there we go. Like I said, we're looking at just one corner of that big spreadsheet. We're tracking over 8,200 stocks right now. We don't just throw them up here randomly and say good luck. We've got the stocks up here sorted by that master indicator, VST. So you're looking at the stocks with the best combination of value, safety, and timing right on this screen. But we're not so concerned with all 8,000 stocks right now, right? We wanted to find your stock. In order to do that, you see the next slide in your book says we're going to use the Find Symbols area at the top of the screen. So to find your stock, we just click in this box, and we're able to type either the ticker symbol or the company name. So anybody here in the front, so I can hear you, what's the ticker symbol you want to look at? CAT. CAT? All right, so we type in CAT up at the top, and then just hit Enter on your keyboard. All right, we're going to see how well we were paying attention to Dr. DeLito a moment ago, and we're going to analyze this stock. So VectorVest gives you a wealth of information. The information that Dr. DeLito showed you on the slides is right here in the stock viewer every single day. First off, we have the company name. Next to that, the ticker symbol, an exchange column. The little X lets you know that it's optionable, and this one's on the New York Stock Exchange. To the right of that, we've got the current price of the stock, and the next two columns show you how much it changed from the prior day. Then we get to value. That's where you're really getting something special from VectorVest you're not finding anywhere else. So let's see if you were paying attention to Dr. DeLito. You ready? Let's first compare price to value, because value is what we feel a stock is currently worth, right? All right, is price currently over or under the value? It's under it. So it's undervalued, right? That's good. Remember our philosophy? To buy safe, undervalued stocks rising in price. So that's good. Good sign. Let's move over to the next column. RV. Remember, that's the long-term price appreciation potential on a 0 to 2 scale. Here we got 1.47. Good or bad? Very good, right? It's actually excellent on a scale of 0 to 2. So that's got the potential to outperform a AAA corporate bond over the next few years by 47%. I'd say that's pretty good. Relative safety, 1.38. Safe or risky? Safe, pretty safe, right? Yeah. Usually the highest relative safety you'll see in the system usually is around 1.5, 1.55. So 1.38, that's pretty good. Relative timing, short-term price trend. Is it in an uptrend or a downtrend? Uptrend, right? 1.32. And we got a buy recommendation, and the VST is above 1. Was that simple? Think about what we just did here. We went through that in about like 30 seconds, right? In about 30 seconds, you can come in here and now you see this stock is nicely undervalued. It's got the potential to greatly outperform a AAA corporate bond. It's extremely safe. It's in a nice uptrend, and VectorVest gives it a buy recommendation. where else are you going to be able to get that type of analysis that quickly? And you could do that for any stock in the system that you're interested in. Now, if you're like me when I first started, my head was swimming when I first started trying to remember all those column headings and what they all were. So I needed a cheat sheet. To get that cheat sheet, we have a stock analysis report for you. To access the stock analysis report, just right-click anywhere on that row, and the second choice down is View Full Stock Analysis. In your books, you have a slide that says, use the stock analysis report for instantaneous analysis of any stock, any day. So by pulling up the stock analysis report, you get a quick summary of that stock. You get a graph of not only the stock, but also its industry. As you scroll down a little bit, you get a description of the company. I know I don't know what 8,000 companies do. So if before I buy a stock, I'd like to know what it does before I buy it. So you can read that description. And as you scroll down a little bit more, you'll notice we come to the capital appreciation section, which is all our VectorVest proprietary information. As you scroll down even further, we come to the earnings and growth rate information, dividend analysis, sales and market cap information. Every column that was in that stock viewer is detailed in this stock analysis report. And what I like about this stock analysis report is when I first started, if I would forget what RV was, I could just come in here, and if I scroll back up to the top, I got it right here. RV is an indicator of long-term price appreciation potential. Sounds familiar, right? Yeah, Dr. DeLito just went over that. Not only does it give you the definition, it tells you how that stock ranks, and also what goes into the formula for that proprietary indicator. So we recommend that you come in here, print one of these out. Keep it by your desk as a reference. Go through it. Highlight the things you agree with. Highlight the things you don't agree with. And then call us so we could talk about it. All right? So let's just go ahead and close that for now. Another major consideration when you're looking at a stock is this stock in a leading industry? Whenever you look at a stock in the stock viewer screen, down at the bottom of the screen, we're going to show you what industry that stock is in. The next slide in your books actually states that VectorVest analyzes industry groups and business sectors the same way it would analyze a stock. So here we're looking at that industry. Every column that you see for that industry, including things like RV, RS, and RT, those are averages of all the stocks that make up that industry. So what you can start to do is compare your stock to its peers, including things like RV to its peers, RS to its peers, its relative safety. And what you can start to do is you might start to see that maybe you've got a high-flying stock, but then when you go down and you look at its industry, you might find that it's in a bad industry. And if that's the case, you've got to be careful about situations like that. What matters most, though, when you're looking at industries is direction. That's why the next slide in your book states that relative timing is the key indicator when analyzing industry groups and sectors. Because let me ask you this. You've heard the phrase, birds of a feather flock together, right? Yes, good. That being the case, if you've got an industry that is heading up, what do you think's happening to the component stocks of that industry? They're going up, right? And if you've got an industry that's going down, the component stocks are most likely going down, right? So we want to keep that in mind when we're looking at our stocks. So let's actually take a look at where our stock ranks within the industry. To do that, it's very simple. Just come up to your stock and double-click on it. what that's going to do is load all of the stocks within that industry. And in this industry, we've got a whopping 5 stocks. So here we're looking at the stocks within that industry. And we can see the stock that we were interested in is right up at the top. So we've got a high-flying stock, a hot stock in that industry. Now, sometimes you're not going to always find the top stock in that industry. You might find a stock that might be mid-pack, it might be a little bit lower. If that's the case, you can start to divert your attention to maybe some of those hotter stocks in that industry, the stocks that are up near the top of that list. Now, using that logic, if you're going to then switch your thinking and look for hot stocks in that industry, wouldn't it also be good to find hot stocks in hot industries? Not just that industry, maybe hot stocks in the hottest industries? Well, we make it very simple for you to do that as well. Let's close this screen. All we need to do, we have an industry viewer over on the left-hand side. And go ahead and click on Industry Viewer. This is going to load another spreadsheet of all the industries that we track. But let me go back to that slide that was in your book, where it said relative timing is the key indicator when analyzing industry groups and sectors. Notice up here, it says RT descending. These industries are not sorted by VST. They're sorted by relative timing. That's going to bring the industries that have the strongest price trend to the top of the list. So if you wanted to find hot stocks in a hot industry, you come into the industry viewer, come to these top industries and double click on them. So let's double click on healthcare nursing homes. This will load all the stocks within that industry. So we've got a hot industry, and now up at the top of the screen, we now have the hot stocks in that industry. Was that simple or what? Not just simple, pretty powerful though, right? All right, go ahead and close that for me, Steve. Now, as you begin to do this, as you begin to analyze your stocks, as you begin to look at industries and find other stocks, you're going to begin to build a list of stocks that interest you, right? Now, typically, we usually write them down on a piece of paper, right? And we come in here and we're doing our analysis. Which you can do. You can come in here each day and analyze stocks one by one. But one of the most powerful pieces of VectorVest is the ability to put all of those stocks that we're interested in into one place. And that one place we call a watch list. Over on the left-hand side of the screen of the Viewers tab, you'll see there's a section for watch lists. There's a slide in your books that say watch lists allow investors or traders to apply the power of rank analysis to the securities that interest them the most. So what we've done, we've actually created some pre-built watch lists for you to save you some time. So you notice there's a folder here for the Dow Jones watch lists. So if you wanted to look at Caterpillar and the Dow Jones Industrials, you can just come into the Dow Jones watch list, and there's the Dow Jones Industrials pre-built for you. If you wanted to find the stocks in the S&P 500, you can just scroll down the list. There's a folder for the S&P watch lists. Inside there, there's the S&P 500. If you wanted the NASDAQ 100 or the Russell 2000, we put those in the special watch list folder. So we've got watch lists pre-built for you. But let's create a watch list for us, because I want to see what you guys own. Let's see what your stocks are. So to do that, let's scroll back up here. Let's put our watch list in the My Watch List group. So to create a new watch list, we're going to click on the group, and then we're going to click on the new folder, the new icon right there. Go ahead and click on that. And let's just call this one Atlanta. And once we do that, just click on Add. And once we click Add, it's going to add our watch list to that group. And do me a favor, Steve, could you just minimize the other ones for me? And minimize Dow Jones for me. All right, and then click back on Atlanta. All right, notice there's no stocks in it yet, right? So we got to figure out how to put our stocks into this watch list. With VectorVest 7, we've added a couple of new features. One great new feature is a drag and drop feature. So if we were in the stock viewer, so let's click back on stock viewer. Remember how we were analyzing Caterpillar? If we like this stock, all we need to do now is click on it and drag it to our watch list. And then let go. We've now added that stock to our watch list. All right, so you can do that not just one stock at a time. You can highlight several of them and drag the batch down to your watch list. The other way is we could just start typing ticker symbols up here at the top. So this is where I'm going to need some stocks from you. So you're going to be nice to Steve. Let's get a couple of ticker symbols. WLT. SLV. GLD. AMGD. KMGB. JAZZ. All right, and RES. Let's do HGG. ENT. STI. How many we got? Let's see, we only got 6 in there so far. How about AGP? AOL. KMGB. All right, that should be good. What have we got? About 10 in there? All right, so once we're done typing them in, let's just hit enter. All right, here we go. Here's our watch list. Now again, we didn't just put them in here randomly. They're not just in there the way we typed them. You'll notice the slide in your book says that all watch lists are ranked by VST Vector. And what does that mean? The best stocks will appear at the top. The worst ones relative to the other ones in the list will be at the bottom. So all these stocks that you own, and that's one of the best features of the watch list, is to put the stocks that you currently own into a watch list. And you could start to see which ones are the good ones, which ones might be hurting you. Now, if you put a watch list together of the stocks that you currently own, most likely before you bought that stock, you probably already analyzed things like value and safety for the most part. I know there's a couple that sneak into your portfolio where you don't quite do that. But for the most part, you probably did that analysis, right? Once you own a stock, what are we mostly looking at daily? Price, right? If the price is going up, we're most likely happier, right? If the price is going down, we're not happy. So we want to know what price is doing on the stocks that we own. And the way we do that with VectorVest is using our indicator of relative timing. Because remember, that looks at the short-term price trend. So instead of sorting this by VST, if these are stocks that we own, we want to come in here and click on the column heading for RT, which will resort the list by relative timing. And you can see that because it's got the little down arrow now on the relative timing column. And Steve, if you would just turn off the stream again for me. Remember, RT, when it's above 1, those stocks are in an uptrend. When it's below 1, those stocks are in a downtrend. Overall, we've got a pretty good portfolio here, right? Look at all those stocks with an RT above 1. You guys did pretty good. We got some pretty good stocks. The stocks with an RT above 1, we don't need to worry about those stocks right now. We need to focus our attention on the stocks with an RT below 1. Those are the stocks that are potentially hurting our portfolio. They're like the weeds in our garden. What happens when you let the weed go too long in your garden? It starts to hurt everything else, right? So what we want to do is start to figure out how we're going to pluck those weeds out of our garden and then replace them with either nice vegetables or nice flowers. But we got to start with figuring out what weeds we're going to get out of there. And the best place to start is down here at the bottom of the list. The first thing you want to do is just do that quick analysis, just like in the stock viewer with Caterpillar. So let's do a quick one. Price compared to value. Is it over or under the value? It's under it, right? So that's good. That's a good sign. We got an undervalued stock. Relative value, the long-term price appreciation potential. It's above 1, right? So that's good, right? All right, so far we got 2 good things. Then we come to relative safety. Is it safe or risky? Yeah, it's riskier than the average stock. That's not so good. So then we come over to relative timing. Remember, Dr. D said of those indicators, relative timing is the most important. 0.59, that's telling us it's in a pretty good downtrend right now. And since the price is below our stop price, we've got a sell recommendation on it. So you got a couple of good things, but you also got some bad things. If you're making a decision on whether you should keep that stock or not, you might want more information than that. And in that case, one of the best ways to get more information on whether you should keep a stock or not is by looking at a graph. Because as Dr. DeLito said, selling is a very personal decision, and you can get a lot more information on that stock by looking at a graph. In the next presentation, after we take our break, Todd's going to come back and teach you all about graphs. And in that presentation, he's going to talk about how to take this stock at the bottom of our list and make some better decisions on whether we should keep it or not. Sound good? All right, we got a 15-minute break, and then let's come back and we'll have Todd come up.